See the roller on that side? Uh-huh. Oh, wait. It's on the wrong side on that side. So I've got to flip that around. Okay. Hey, thanks for watching AMD Garage. In this video, we're working on this iconic second-gen Camaro. This one has the Rally Sport front end, but the truth is, it's a 1974, and we've reskinned it using AMD parts from the catalog to look like the iconic split bumper car that I've dreamt of for a long time. The fenders, well, they're the same from 1970 through 77, and they were good enough on this car to reuse, so that's what we've done. This video, we're going to show you how to completely rebuild an entire door from an empty shell. This door here is an AMD door skin on the original frame. On the other side, we've got a brand new AMD door shell. It fit really nice right out of the box, but I'm correcting the gaps here a little bit. I want them a little bit thinner than the factory gaps, which are kind of large on these cars. So we're in the process of that right now. But for all intents and purposes, this is how it came out of the box. The only thing that I've got installed is the door latch and weather seals. Now, if you listen to these things, it sounds like a drum. So we're going to be showing you how to deal with that, as well as we've got the weather seals in here. I want to talk about that a little bit later on, but there's a really good reason that I've got weather seals in this door before my body work. So we're going to start with insulation, build up all the internal mechanisms for the door, the latch, the window tracks, all the good stuff. And we're going to be using the original door here as a guide and talking to you about proper strategies for when you tear your vehicle down, leaving things assembled, and keeping things bagged and tagged for when you're ready to do what we're doing right now and reassemble this car. Here's some other things I want to make you aware of. We're going to be giving you tech tips all through this video and showing you some things that aren't in the catalog that are going to make this job easier for you. Speaking of the catalog, here's the AMD F-Body, Chevelle, and Nova catalog. It's got great diagrams showing you not only what's available, but also options, clear glass, tinted glass, hardware kits, things that you're going to need to know about. And again, it's a great reference guide for how things should probably sit and go on the vehicle. Here's something that didn't come from AMD, and I want to let you know about. I got it on an online auction. It's a Haynes manual for second-gen F-Body Camaro, 70 through 81. It's got some really good information. It's not the complete reassembly manual, but there's good stuff in here. Diagrams, exploded diagrams, even some decent how-to information that's going to help you with a project like this. Here's something that I want to say from experience. When you tear your vehicle down, bag and tag everything. Trust me on this. Even if you're going to replace some of these pieces, maybe reuse some of them, it really helps to have everything that came off a particular part all in one place, just for a reference guide. So the other thing I want to talk about is this. We're going to be reusing and restoring some pieces. This is the glass stop from the original. Here's one that I've kind of gone through and spit shined and restored a little bit, even though the rubber stop at the bottom had a broken piece. The little nebula that holds it on was broken off. So I've got a lock nut on the bottom and a 1/4-20 screw holding it in place. You don't have to buy everything new. Sometimes you can fix things. So we're going to walk you through some DIY stuff because this is going to be in conjunction with parts available and parts that may not be available right now in the AMD catalog, such as the window track. So we're going to show you some DIY stuff on how to restore them. I want to show you some other stuff that we have that you may not know about. Now, I'm going to be reaching for parts on this table all throughout this project. We may not need everything on here, but it sure is nice to know that AMD has this stuff available, such as this complete glass hardware kit. All the plastic guides and cushions, rollers, runners, everything that we need for both doors is in this box. We've got trim clips for the door trim panels, guides, rods for the push rods for the latches, and this right here. This is the quarter panel vent. Now, when I took this off, I thought, well, I'm going to clean that up and reuse it. But it leaves a little bit to be desired, and the flap is actually not in great shape right there. Sure looks different to the new one in the package, and this is kind of a phenomenon that happens. Something that looks good when you tear it down, maybe it actually needs replaced when you surround it with all brand new pieces and parts. So all of this stuff here, like I said, I'll be reaching for parts and components from this table. I may not use everything, but it sure is nice to know that it's available if we need it. As far as a difficulty meter, we're going to put this one way down at a 2. It's literally just replacing parts and pieces, and although a door glass can be a kind of a sensitive thing to install it or remove it without damage, it's fairly straightforward. Plus, along with this guide, there's several other excellent guides that we've found on the internet. So, 2 out of 5. Now here, obviously, we've got our door side glass, and I've pulled the packaging away here to confirm that it's tinted like I ordered. This is how well it's protected from the factory, and then it's set into a box and foamed in so it arrives completely perfect and undamaged. Different things available are lock cylinders for the doors with keys and gaskets and clips. Window cranks, outer door handles are available, and these are 70 through 74 inner door handles, and we also have the insert that goes in here to give us a factory correct appearance. This is restoration quality stuff. I'm not going to clip it into place because we've got to fasten it in there first, but that's going to look great on our interior. And if we're doing a traditional 100-point restoration, these are restoration quality parts and pieces. Let's look over here. Here are my window regulators. We're staying with the hand cranks. Power windows are an option. We've got power window regulators in the catalog if you want to upgrade. Personally, I don't mind the hand crank, so we're putting these back in. These come pre-greased and with the rollers pre-installed. So I'm kind of excited to try these. They look like really nice quality pieces, and we've got threaded inserts that are factory correct. Everything is nice and good to go. Now here's our original door glass. You eagle eyes out there, you can see the difference right here. This one is clear and this one is tinted. Here's why. This car had an accident in its past. The driver's side door was replaced. There was a bunch of body work done to this car. They replaced it with a newer door with a glass that didn't match. So right away, there's one good reason that I'm going to replace at least one of these door glasses, because I like the tinted feature and I want them to match side to side. Let's take a closer look at these glasses. This right here, it's not dirt, it's actual scratches in the glass. And I can see scrapes right here from the guides. It's all up and down there. You've got to look at it in the right light. Maybe the camera's picking it up for you guys, but trust me, it's here. Even on this glass over here, it's gnarly. It looks like somebody had sandpaper in between when this was going up and down. And that just happens with age. So you might be thinking to yourself, well, can't you just polish that? Polishing tempered glass is a real challenge. Now, all glass starts out as plate glass. The tempering process super hardens the outsides of the glass while it's being formed, and then it's fast cooled to hold the shape that it's pressed into. And we just saw this process. We went to the AMD manufacturing facilities, toured the glass factory, and it was fascinating. I can't wait to show you some of these videos that we've got of all our manufacturing process. But I learned a lot while I was there about tempered glass. Tempered glass is extremely hard to polish. It's very difficult. The Eastwood Company actually has a glass polishing kit that I've used with some success. On windshields, if you've got some mild wiper scrub, yeah, you can get rid of that. But polishing tempered glass is very, very difficult. That's the third time I've said it because I really want to emphasize the point. When you look in the catalog, get online, you're going to find that these side glasses are not that expensive to replace. And again, it's that phenomenon that happens. These glasses are fine. They'll go up and down great. They'll hold the rain out. But when we're restoring the car around it, this is going to look really bad with all these scrubs and scrapes. So while we're in there, we might as well replace the side glass. Now, one thing I learned a long time ago is to pre-install your door seals while you're fitting your doors and before the body working process. This sets the right pressure and tension into the door while it's being fit to the car. And if you don't do that, well, if you put it on after the fact, it changes the way your door fits. We've all seen that guy at the car show to where it takes an enormous amount of pressure to slam the dang door, and that's probably because they put in the seals after final paint. Even if you have to replace a set of seals, they're affordable enough to where it's just a really great thing to have your doors actually fit the way they're supposed to when you close them. The other thing we're going to do before we go any further is to put insulation inside the door. These doors are really heavy. We want to put just the right amount of insulation in to stop that drumming effect, to keep them from sounding like a big tin can. So we're going to walk you through that process with some really good peel and stick insulation so that the door shell sounds like that. Now these doors are 90 miles long and 700 pounds. They're not, but they're long and they're heavy. So what we're going to do is use our AMD insulation and just trim some pieces out. So I'm going to need about 40 inches. We've got it's a door guard. It's a side impact protection beam is the actual terminology for it. And it's not hollow, but we can kind of sneak up in on the other side of it. But it's going to be difficult to put this insulation on the whole door. We don't need to. We just want to get rid of that ringing sound without introducing too much weight, like I said. So I think we're going to use about 10 inches. Yeah, about 10 inches high. We'll tuck it up inside that beam, and it'll allow me to use, because this isn't exactly 20 inches wide, so it'll allow me to use one sheet of this and get everything I need out of it. So I'm going to mark my increments. 10, 10, 10, and I'm actually going to get some other tools and a knife. This product is super easy to install. It's got a backing and it's self-adhesive. So all we really have to do is put it where we want it and then smooth it down. So what I'm going to do is peel away the top section and then slide it up in behind that protective beam. I've got my handy dandy plastic smoothing tool to smooth it down. So I'm also adding a couple of pieces on this inner skin. where they're not going to interfere with any fasteners, but they are going to go a long way into keeping that drumming effect from happening on this inner panel here too. One thing to remember, if you're putting the insulation on the inside, make sure that you leave your moisture drains clear, because you don't want your door of your Camaro or your C10 or your square body or your Mopar to become an aquarium. So that sounds like a dull thud to me. There we go. Mission accomplished. And I didn't add 100 pounds to the door. So I'm going to pull this door the rest of the way down. The glass is already out of it and the latch is gone, but the tracks for the glass, the runs left and right are still there, and the regulator is still there. So I'm going to lay it out like I take it off. One fastener is missing there already. So there's that. Give it a quick look. It's in pretty good shape. The stops, well, the top one is up in there, and the rubber on the stop, you can see it's worn away. So, I don't know. That's our adjustment for up and down on the glass. The fuzzy is still good here. That's a good thing. And I'm going to set that off to the side for safekeeping. No, we're going to have to come out through the bottom part. And this guy, I believe these parts are galvanized from the factory. They're in good shape. What I'm looking for is rust or maybe a broken spot weld here. This is in nice shape also. Again, the stop is there. We're going to be replacing them just because they look a little tattered. Anyway, so there's that. This rod here is what actuates the door lock. It just flips a tab in here as you pull up and down. So I'm going to keep that in the orientation that it stays in. And although we're going to rebuild this, especially the plastic clips, because they're just toast, I'm going to keep it the way it sits on the vehicle. Now comes the window regulator. That's the only piece left in here. Of course, the roller rods, well, this guy's. And this one fastens between here and here. That fastener is gone. And the small roller in the regulator rolls in that channel there. So obviously we're missing some fasteners. Maybe they're in the bottom of the door. Anyway, we're going to go there. So here comes the crux of the problem. The regulator itself is riveted in. So I don't know what year exactly they started riveting these regulators in, but the early ones are bolted in. And our replacement ones, if you remember, there's a captured nut in the regulator body itself that allows us to bolt them in. if you're going to re-rivet these in, if you want a factory correct appearance, you're going to need a special tool. I'm going to show it to you. This is the big boy. This is the window regulator rivet putter inner. If you don't have one of these, they're kind of expensive to buy. I needed it for my days in collision repair. And if I was going for factory perfect correctness, I would rivet these back in. Here's the issue I have with rivets. You got to drill them out, and not everybody has one of these or the rivets to go in. It's not like the typical 1/8" rivets that you get at the hardware store. So yeah, it's nice to know that this exists. If you want to buy one, go for it, but you don't necessarily need one. We'll show you how to get around it. All right, so the first thing we got to do is knock the center pin out of these rivets. It's a steel pin and aluminum shoulder. Took care of that one. So now, we'll get rid of the aluminum shoulder. Check out the stress cracks right here. This door has seen better days. And there's a couple of other instances where this original door shell or inner is not in the greatest condition. My door holder's not doing me any favors. There we go. Okay. Other than some surface rust, this isn't horrible, but it's sloppy right here. I can feel it. And there's some visible wear on it, so we're just going to replace it. But I am going to lay it out like it sits in the vehicle to remind me of how to put the new one in. And here's the small roller here. You can tell which way this guide goes in, because it'll only fit in from one side. When I reinstall this, I'm going to go in the opposite order that I took it apart. Regulator first, then the guides, then the rods, and finally end up with the glass. The spray lube that I'm using is basically made from canola oil, and it does a really nice job as a cleaning agent as well as a lubricant for internal parts. Any spray lube will work. WD-40 works great. I just find this to be a really nice way to get rid of any grease or lubricant that has hardened over the years inside these channels. Cleaning these parts serves two purposes. In the first place, we're guaranteeing they're going to function the way the factory intended them. The second part, if anybody ever looks inside this door, it's going to look great. So there's an aesthetic function as well. There's also an opportunity for inspection. These are 50-year-old parts. Some of them might be cracked, some of them might be broken, and it's going to give us a chance to stop in our tracks, maybe go back into the AMD catalog and get some new parts before we move on and install something that's not going to work properly. Keep this in mind also. We're using a mixture of original parts and parts that have been manufactured within a few months or even years. So give some grace when you're trying to fit things together. Don't force things. There's always a way for things to work together. And these parts, the quality control and the remanufacture of these parts is pretty amazing. So they're probably going to fit just fine. Just kind of hold your mouth a different way and go easy on them. All right, so here's my new regulator. First thing I'm going to do is match up the adjustment to where it matches the original, because the original one came out of there pretty easy. Ah, okay, the clip comes pre-installed in that. That horseshoe clip is important. So that's about it right there. So what I'm going to do is clean these pieces one at a time, install them, and then we'll install the whole assembly. So if you can see, it's a soft wire brush, and I'm really cleaning out the grooves because that's where that roller slides. And for a nice brand new car feel, we want all of that area really clear. So I've cleaned these off with the brake parts cleaner. I'm going to throw a coat of paint on them. They come with the galvanized coating on from the factory, but with my metal wire brush, I don't want to promote rust. I want to keep it from ever rusting. So we're going to throw a coat of paint on it. All right, so now I'm going to grease the inside of the tracks. Like we said, the regulator has been pre-greased. We like that, but we're not going to have dry-on-dry anything. I like this stuff. This is from Redline. It's a synthetic high-performance grease. It's a bearing grease or an axle grease, whatever you want to call it, but it stays kind of where you put it. Being synthetic, it's more heat resistant. It's going to be a good choice for this in here. So basically all I'm doing is lubing the inside of this track. Not going crazy, but I'm making sure that I get it inside the lip on both sides, down into the groove where the wheel is going to run. I don't want to be messy Marvin, so I'm cleaning off the outside. And we're going to put that guy, well actually I'm going to grease the wheel. And that's not a metaphor. Before I put it in, I'll take my fasteners out of there, but that reminds me where they are. All right, so now this guy's probably dry. And we're going to do the same thing for this one. Way easier to do this now than it is with it installed in the door. I can see where it's going. And if you've got a better lubricant for these tracks, you can throw comments down below. You're watching this on YouTube, maybe on a short social. If you've got a better way to do this or something that you want to add that's going to help other people out, throw us a comment. All right, so I'm pretty happy with that. That's loaded up nicely. We're going to flip this guy. I'm going to set that gently on the floor. I'm going to load up my wheels. This may be the last opportunity I ever get to do this. So this was facing down. All right, with the rollers lubed up, let's look at the orientation. That's the way it sits in the car. This tab, that's what mounts to our glass, and it sits in the down position. Yeah, I'm gonna put it in this way. Slides better. Ah, I didn't have it seated properly. Okay, there it goes. Yeah. So that, it's lubed, it's firm, it's tight, and it's now ready to go into the door. All right, so I've got my regulator, and I brought a couple of other things. I brought some blue Loctite. I've got some fasteners. These are from the local hardware store. They're just the correct size. It's 1/4 and a 7/16 head. The blue Loctite, it might be overkill because there's a locking washer. See the little tabs on that washer? Just on the shoulder of that. That's supposed to lock it into place. The blue Loctite is just a little bit of insurance. Last thing I want is for when my doors are completely built up, for things to start rattling. These doors are up against it anyway, being so big and so heavy. I would rather err on the side of caution, because blue can be cracked loose relatively easily. Well, we're going to leave the guy alone like that. I'm going to put this one in first because it's just kind of goofy. It goes between this span and that span right there. And we've got window adjustment in several different places with these doors. One of them being here. We can see that up-down motion there. So that'll hold you in there and preload my fastener. All right, so I went and got a tool. This is called a drift. This is the body man's savior sometimes. And what I'm doing is this wasn't lining up, and it was threatening to cross-thread that fastener. Not a good thing to have happen. So we can go in here, and we can just pry without ruining the thread surface against where we're trying to mount the regulator or whatever. It just realigns the openings of your fasteners. And I can see a straight shot and a clear shot all the way around there. I can snug the mounting of the regulator in like that with the blue Loctite because there's no real adjustment in that. The adjustment falls everywhere else, like these points here. So I'm not worried about that Loctite in there. Now, what I'm going to try and do run us up and down. And you can see this right here. We want that to be level in the top position. So it's about, you see what I'm talking about right up there? That's what holds our glass in. And I'm going to just kind of level that to the inside of the door. Right there. Now we'll just snug that down. Boy, that feels new. It's because it is. And here we can see the points. Well, yeah, can you see inside there? That's where my glass attaches there. And then again, at the other end right here. So from this point, I'm going to move this up and out of the way because we've got to get in here and in there. We're going to attach the front channel run and then the rear. All right, so we're cleaned up, painted, lubricated, ready to go. Couple of things. The part that comes into contact with the glass is attached, pre-attached to this front track. It's in good shape, so I didn't paint it. And I fluffed it up and cleaned it a little bit, so that way we don't have any harsh contact on that glass. We're not going to scrub it again. And the other thing I wanted to show you is this. Punched the holes in the cardboard. I cleaned up the heads of the fasteners, and yeah, they'll just look a little bit better going in. Now, if I remember correctly, this guy went in easily from the top. So we're going to leave those loose, obviously. And we'll do a pre-adjustment on the glass, but I'm not going to do my final adjustment on the glass until I've got the weather seals in place and the top roof rails and all that type of stuff. So it's happening again. What's happening is that I'm lubing my fingertips with the grease that I've got in the tracks. It is not doing me any favors getting these things started. All right, there we go. I'm just going to run you in just a little bit more, but there's adjustment on all of these things. Up, down, and in and out. So we're going to leave them just like that. And if I remember correctly, this guy had to come in from that way, except for it goes like that. Where can I grab you from? Right there. All right, so that's in, those are loose, those are good. These two bolts right here are for the stops. They go right there. We're going to wait because we got to put the stops in after the glass is in place, because there's a roller that goes down in each end, and we put the stop in, and that's what keeps it, it sets the upper limit of the glass, but those have to wait on us to actually get the glass in there. There's a rod here, comes up here, that's your door lock, like that. It comes here, connects to a rod here, connects over there, and hits a paddle, and it's an offset rod that goes bam, and it locks or unlocks the latch assembly. So I've got the old one. We're going to walk over to the giant pile of new stuff, and we're going to rebuild our new one. All right, so our door lock rod is kind of in sad shape. The plastic clips are busted, this rod is actually bent, and the lock knob is not in great shape. Here's the new kits. These are universal. They're for both sides or either side. It's a W062 part number, so we're just going to use one. They are zinc coated, so we don't have to worry about rust. And so we just build it like we see it, right? There it is, bam. So this guy is the first guy that's going to go in there. Pop, there we go. Before I get all awkward and goofy on there, we're going to put these in. These can be a bit of a chore sometimes. There we go. Going to show it some tough love. That was fun. So we've got our lock knobs right here. I'm not putting those on just yet. I don't want to bash them up because they're nice chrome. But what we are going to do is throw this guy in there. Bam, Bob's your uncle. And we're in good shape. Now we're ready to throw this on the door shell. To install this, I'm going to take this rod off. Now, put this end inside the pocket in the latch. We can work with these. Okay. Get this guy started. All right. Now this guy will come back down this way. If you can see right in through there, just reconnecting this. Like that. And the clip comes up and around, locks it in. We have unlock and unlock action. I want to seat that one a little bit better though. There we go. Yep, it feels nice. Now there's still a couple of things that we need to address before we drop the glass in. Well, and we've actually got to build the glass up as well, but it's the inner and outer door handles, and they're connected with rods. Here's our inner handle. The rod loops in around that guy. As you pull the handle out, it actuates a rod. This one, that pulls a latch right here and releases it. So this has got to get fished in through here, which we'll do first, except for when we look down in here, this is the original latch. And when you look, let me see if I can reach my hand in here. All right, so right here, you can see this is what actually pulls and releases that catch. There needs to be a clip on the bottom of there. There is not one. So we need to put that clip on there, otherwise the lock rod can fall off. If that happens when your door is built up, it's going to make you sad because you've got to pull your trim panel off. So I've got a search to do for that clip, but I think I know exactly where it is because I bagged and tagged my fasteners when I tore this door down. Found the clip. Now, if you lose yours, we have replacements, and they do come with the new latch if you order a new latch, but they work like this. They go on the bottom of that tab. This 90-degree angle of the rod, you can see the tiny little slot. It's a little gap in there. That connects like this. Basically, it connects. I don't want to completely get it on there, but it pushes in from the outside, and this is spring steel, and it'll grip around that gap. So this comes in a set of two. This is the inner door handle push rod or pull rod, and the way you know that you've got the right side is that it pokes in from the outside to the inside of the door, and it arcs down at the end. So what we're going to do first and foremost is we're going to put this clip on so we're ready to receive the rod when we put it in there. There. That's solid. All right, so the rod on this end goes in through the handle here. There's a clip on there that we're not going to use right now. And then it gets, we've got capture nuts here. It gets fastened to the door. So this is an odd guy. This is a really strange looking, there's a bull nose on the end, and it's like a 5/16 size, I believe. And there's only one of them, and it's matched to threaded in there. You don't want to go too deep with a fastener, so you got to have the right one. But I've only got one. So there's a kit from the AMD catalog. It is a H-183, and it's all the fasteners for the inner door. All these guys. If you need new hardware, we've got the kit. So I'm going to be ordering one. But in the meantime, it's a 1/4 thread pitch, and I've got two little button heads that are 1/4. So I'm just going to use a temporary fix right here. While we mock this up. And I'll pull this apart again for paint anyways, but this gets us to the point where we can have a functional door and finish our mock-up. So now we've got actuation from the inside, so we're going to test it. Works nicely. The only other thing I'm going to put on now, just to verify that we've got the fit right, the rod, push rod is the right angle, things like that, is our outer door handle. Obviously, I'm going to blow it apart to paint, but we're going to put the outer door handle in because it, as it rocks down, it levers this rod, which again is held by the same style clip. This angle pushes down on the spoon and releases the latch from the outside. So we're going to just verify that all of this works. These can be persnickety too. Got to kind of pull it open a little bit and work it in. Yeah, there it goes. Now this rod I can get to from the inside, but what we're going to do is push it into the clip the same way. I'm going to put it down into the recess, and then we'll push it into the clip, and then we'll put some nuts on the back side of that, make sure it all works. Now the push rod for the handle to the latch needs to be put in probably before your window channels or your glass guides go in. But since the glass isn't here, I can just tuck this guy away, and I've got a pretty straight shot for installing this last rod. So we're going to go down into the latch. I can just feed it in through the backside here. There we go, a little bit of pressure. Now we can see that actuates and it works. We'll just set our rear glass guide back into place. Perfect. So my new door glass is right here. I'm going to unwrap it. Give it a quick inspection for scratches or scuffs. Everything looks great. So I'm going to use this as an example of where to put everything else. This is in complete assembly except for the one little plastic bump stop right there. And this is my kit. This is for both sides. And looks like it comes with instructions. So using the manual, the guide that came in the kit, and the other door to kind of break down and pull things apart to make sure we were 100% positive on how this thing goes together, we've pre-assembled all of the different rollers and, oh, I'm going to call them clamps, as well as these stoppers here. So I'm going to start with this. There's one on each end. And then we'll work our way and just mirror this, which starts with this guy. So it's in the guides. So I'm going to roll my mechanism all the way down. Now I've got to get my studs lined up with the track fore and aft. All right, I feel better about that. I've got the glass propped up in the bottom with a couple of, these are pieces of wood covered in rubber, so the glass is sitting on something safe. Now what I've got to do is get this channel up to match. You can see that stud right there. You've got one more right over here. Right in there. We've just got to get our sash aligned with those guys. There's one. Now I've got to get that guy up there. And there's the other guy. So I'm going to get a fastener started on there. The other one wanted to jump out, so that one started. Once that's held on, I can get rid of this stopper. We can get rid of that guy. So now it's in. Oh, quit looking, I found it. All right, so that's got those started. So that's safe. I'm going to snug those. I've got to get a extension, and then we can start adjusting. We've got a stopper to put there, and yeah, well, the hard part's over, folks. All right. So it rolls up and down. So we've got a couple of bits of housekeeping to do. Right here, you see where that's where an upper stop goes. There's one of those on the top of each channel. We're going to go ahead and install those. Here's our stopper, and they're dipped in rubber on each end, so it's a nice soft stop for the roller, so it doesn't prematurely wear it out. Other side, same way. Give those a little bit of a stug. Now these are going in. This is our inner felt. This is the window guide. Goes in like this, and you can see what its job is to keep that glass from getting scratched. Of course, we've got adjustment there. What keeps the glass off of the metal here is your outside weather seal, sometimes known as the fuzzies. It's just a sweep seal that goes on the outside of the door here. So I'm going to leave those off for now. But this at least gets us safe passage going up and down and away from this super sharp edge right here. So obviously we can't do a final adjustment because we've got pieces missing. The roof rail weather seal, this sweep, it's missing. And to get a perfect fit, we need those in place. That's not going to happen right now. But we still have to center the glass in the opening. And that's going to give you all of the adjustment points that you need to get a perfect fit on your Camaro once it's all fully assembled. So it starts here. When we look at this area here, it needs to be parallel. To me, it looks like it's a little wider there, but I'm going to actually use a measuring tape. So we're 2 1/4. Back here, we're 2 1/2. So that means the glass has got to come either up in the back or down in the front. All right, so if you look at the glass from this side, it's got a clock, a little bit. So the way we do that is with these bolts here. Now it pivots off of this one because it's non-adjustable. It's that short little sash that we put on the small roller. And this one here, you can see it's slotted for up and down motion. So that gives us the ability to move this up and down. We're gonna, okay, you can see here when I'm lifting the glass, it actually moves that fastener. All right, so we're gonna go up a little bit more and adjust, and lock it down and then check it. We're 2 1/4. And it's 2, it grew a little bit on this side. So I'm going to bring it down just a taste. And that should give us our parallel at the top. There, just a little bit more. 2¼ 2¼ close enough. We've got a pretty parallel looking gap there. Now, with the glass fully up, it was coming pretty close to this A-pillar right here. And you can see as it comes up, it's going to do that. We have got a lot of room back here. So now, with it parallel on the top, the glass needs to come back. Here's how that happens. These two fasteners here, you can see the slots. It's lateral. That's our adjustment point there. So we're going to move that back. I'm just going to say about 1/4 inch. Okay. Right there, you can actually see the witness marks on the washers. I might come back just a taste more. Right there. All right. We'll snug these guys up. And see what we got. All right, so that brought it back. I can no longer get my 2 fingers in there. And we've opened it up pretty good on the front side. So now I feel a little more comfortable rolling the window up. We'll see where that gets us. So that's pretty good. It still needs to come up a little bit, but if you can see right here, we're interfering with the inner structure of the glass. So that means we have to move the window out at the top. Maybe a little farther back right here. You can see that gap is opened up. So we got to come back a little bit, but we also have to rotate the glass up. So one adjustment at a time. We're going to come back with the glass in the tracks before we adjust that part. So we're going to loosen these guys off and move the glass back just a little bit more. All right, that's a lot. That should get us where we need to be. All right, we'll test that. All right, so you can see how much that brought that back. I've got a full 4-finger in there, and it's about the same on this side. So our goal is centered in the opening, and I'm going to say we've achieved that. So now we've got to pivot the glass up. Here's a mistake that I've made in the past, and I don't want you to make. When you look around here, don't use these guides as adjusters. They're designed to barely touch the glass. If there's too much pressure put on them, then they can scratch the glass like we found on the original glass. The way we manipulate the glass this way is with these positions right here and right here. And you can see they're fully extended up that way. What you got to visualize is that acts like a lever. So if you look at my hand, when they're fully adjusted all the way up, the glass tilts back. And that's our problem. That's not what we want. So we've got to pull these fasteners back like that to tilt the glass up and away from that inner channel. So we're going to loosen these off and come back about 1/4 inch on each side. So that is what I want right there. Now we'll see. All right, so that brought that up nicely. Might need a little bit more adjustment, but I'm going to close this. And at least it's away from the metal right there. About the midway point of this run is what we want to see. So I'm going to do one final adjustment and pull those door tracks back just a little bit more. And then we'll talk about our top to bottom, because we're no longer parallel moving this thing around. All right, so one more adjustment, and then we'll talk about another adjustment. This fastener right here is what controls the up and down. That is actually the stop in that slider. So we're going to come down a little bit right there. I'm just bringing that glass down. You can actually see, all right? Watch in the fastener there. You can see me move it up and down. So that's where we want to stop. I'm going to snug it up. And I think this side needed to come up just a little bit. The way we can do that, since that can't move, if we crank the window up, it's going to draw up on the front. All right, so that's about all I want there. Now we'll check again. All right, let's take a look. We're looking at this edge right here. It's pretty consistent. A little snug at the top. This right here is pretty consistent. Definitely clearance on the A-pillar. It's pretty parallel. It's a little wider here than it is here, but that gets us in the ballpark. Now, obviously, we're going to have to do a fine-tune once we have the car fully assembled, but you know, if you're in this position, or if your glass is just out of alignment on the sides, now you know how to move it fore and aft, up and down, and in and out on those 3 axes. So, yeah, there it is. All right, so that's it. One piece that I did not install is the glass stop that goes under the bottom. It just fits into a slot in the door, super easy to find, and the glass run bumps into it at the bottom throw. I'm not putting this in because, again, I'm blowing the glass apart again for paint and body, but this is something that you don't want to forget it. So within a few minutes here, we've not only built our door up with almost all AMD parts, but we've got a pretty dang cool fit. It's really close to a final fit with just a few minutes worth of adjustment. So I'm feeling really good about saying, hey, if you need to build your door from the AMD catalog, hello, it's right there. Adjusting your door glass, well, you can dispel the rumors that all aftermarket door glass is garbage and it doesn't fit, because you can see clearly right here that it looks great and it fits great. So thank you for watching AMD Garage. I hope this video helps you with your project, whether you're working on an F-Body Camaro or a Mopar, or maybe somewhere in between and a little bit of both. Come and see us also at AutoMetalDirect.com. Check the new catalogs out. We're always adding parts. We've got new things coming in constantly. And at AMD Garage, lots of new tech videos coming your way. Hey, don't forget to subscribe either. See you next time.